Widely considered by film scholars to be the greatest year in movie history, 1939, a whopping 83 years ago, is thought to be the pinnacle of Hollywood's golden age. The studios produced a staggering 365 films that year, with many of these movies making the American Film Institute's top 100 films of all time list. How could so many great films be made in the same year? Many factors contributed to this event, such as improved film techniques, superstar actors, unlimited budgets, an influx of foreign writers and directors, and the prospect of World War looming around the corner. Some of the iconic movies that year were The Wizard of Oz,
We're off to see the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Gone with the Wind,
Where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Mr. Smith Goes to Washington,
You'll see the whole parade of what man's carved out for himself after centuries of fighting.
Stagecoach,
On it!
Oh, steady, ho, ho.
Wuthering Heights, plus many, many more. Today, I'm going to give you my 10 most underrated movies from 1939. Fantastic films that were overshadowed by the more popular movies and would have been at the top of the list any other year. So let's get started. Coming in at number 10 is The Man in the Iron Mask, a romantic costume swashbuckler. Based on the classic novel by Alexander Dumas, it deals with twin heirs to France's throne in 1638. With a lavish budget, huge sets, and energetic action, it's a dated but fun romp. Plus, how can you not love a movie with the Three Musketeers?
Gentlemen, Musketeers! He means you too.
The film features Louis Hayward in the dual roles of King Louis XIV and his twin brother Philippe. The lovely Joan Bennett plays Princess Maria Theresa, who is promised to wed King Louis. The acting is well-rounded, particularly the chemistry between the Musketeers. The costumes are top shelf, and the set designs are huge and detailed. Some downsides are an uneven story, few action scenes, and not much is seen of the Man in the Iron Mask until later in the film, which is why I have it down to number 10. But I thought it was still much better than the 1998 remake with Leonardo DiCaprio. Starring Cary Grant and Carole Lombard, In Name Only is a well-made tearjerker drama that slides in at number 9. Grant plays a rich married man who chases widowed Carole Lombard because he is stuck in an unhappy marriage with his sinister and conniving wife, played by Kay Francis. In Name Only is a solid, not special romantic melodrama considering the cast.
I didn't know there were women like that.
The screenplay is underwhelming, but all the actors give their best effort, elevating the film somewhat. Honestly, it probably would have been better as a screwball comedy.
Can't be this way. I won't do it to any woman, no matter who she is or what she is.
Director John Cromwell gets major props for his expert technique and does his best to get every tear he can from the audience. Directed by the great John Ford, who has another movie on this list, Drums Along the Mohawk makes it in at number 8. This historical Western drama stars Henry Fonda and Claudette Colbert as settlers during the American Revolution. This was Ford's first color feature and was a box office smash, as well as being nominated for awards.
Scared, did you, at what that fella just said about the Tories and the Indians?
I wasn't even thinking about Indians.
Fonda carries the film as you would expect. The character actors do a superb job of fleshing out the movie. Not one of Ford's best, but still has plenty of adventure, romance, humor, and action, as well as Ford's trademark Americana landscapes. Edna Mae Oliver practically steals the film as the tough, ornery widow McClenner. A rousing good tale, loosely based on historical events, it's a very entertaining film. At number 7 today is Dodge City, a western starring Errol Flynn, Olivia de Havilland, and Ann Sheridan. Directed by Michael Curtiz, who would go on to direct Casablanca in 1942, Dodge City is about a Texas cattleman, Flynn, who sees how lawless the town of Dodge City, Kansas is and becomes sheriff to make it civilized. Loosely based on the legend of Wyatt Earp, it became one of the top-grossing movies of 1939. Even though Flynn and Curtiz couldn't stand each other, they made 12 really great movies together. Dodge City is a sprawling and entertaining western epic that features the mother of all barroom brawls.
That's a present from U.S. Grant. That's for Robert E. Lee.
The combination of great production value, gorgeous vistas, superb acting, and fast-paced action helped to revitalize the fading western genre, along with other movies that year like Stagecoach. And Destry Rides Again. Slotted at number 6 is the horror classic Son of Frankenstein. The third Frankenstein movie stars Basil Rathbone as Dr. Frankenstein, Bela Lugosi as Igor, and Boris Karloff as the monster for his last time. A worthy follow-up to The Bride of Frankenstein, this film is entertaining, sinister, creepy, and is remembered for its unique craftsmanship. The large budget for the time of $500,000 is on full display here with its lavish sets and costumes. Bela Lugosi steals the show as Igor and makes a perfect and memorable villain. Karloff is typically great as the menacing monster, but his role takes a backseat to Igor and Dr. Frankenstein, which in my opinion is one of its flaws.
One doesn't easily forget, Herr Baron, an arm torn out of the root.
Despite several shortcomings, it's still good enough to be considered one of Universal Studios' horror classics. The third film of 6 in the series, Another Thin Man, bounces in at number 5. This comedic detective movie features William Powell and Myrna Loy as the crime-solving husband and wife team Nick and Nora Charles, a sophisticated couple with a new baby in tow. These films were hugely popular at the time, with the couple popping off snappy dialogue with a dash of excitement as they try to solve their latest case.
I got rid of all those reporters.
What'd you tell them?
Told them we were out of scotch.
What a gruesome thought.
It's a satisfying, pleasurable film with few faults. Powell and Loy are in top form, both charming and funny. One of the downsides is the mystery is a bit overcomplicated due to the overwritten screenplay, and at times it kind of seems a bit tedious. All in all, it's very entertaining and good fun. The Four Feathers slips in at number 4. A British adventure film filmed in Technicolor, it takes place during the reign of Queen Victoria in the late 1800s. Directed by Zoltan Korda, it stars John Clements, Ralph Richardson, and June Duprez. It is based on A.E.W. Mason's 1902 book, The Four Feathers. The story is about a military man who is marked as a coward by his officers and then banished, but later is redeemed by heroically rescuing his fellow soldiers. The film boasts a marvelous screenplay, solid acting, loads of adventure with huge scope, and beautiful Technicolor cinematography. An exciting tale of courage and redemption, The Four Feathers stands the test of time and takes its place among the all-time classic films. Brought to us by the legendary filmmaker of such classics as Giant and Shane, George Stevens' adventure film Gangadin deserves the number 3 spot. Based on the poem by Rudyard Kipling, it stars Cary Grant, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., Sam Jaffe, and Joan Fontaine. Gangadin is probably one of the greatest action-adventure yarns ever made during Hollywood's golden age. It has huge battle scenes, comical pranks, crisp direction, and adrenaline-pumping action.
Darling, please don't go.
The trouble is you don't want a man for a husband. You want a coward who'll run out on his friend when they're in danger. Well, that's not me and never was and never will be. I don't care how much I love you.
The film may seem a bit lighthearted at times, but it does deal with such topics as honor, friendship, loyalty, and courage. The story involves 3 British sergeants in India who are called to arms when a native military cult revolts against the British. Gangadin may seem outdated with its colonialism and glorification of war, but if you can overlook its imperialism and political incorrectness, it's a fun, entertaining piece of escapism. Directed by Sidney Landfield and starring Basil Rathbone as Sherlock Holmes and Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson, my number 2 film today is The Hound of the Baskervilles. If you remember, Rathbone played Dr. Frankenstein in Son of Frankenstein, the number 6 movie on the list. It's a gothic mystery based on the novel of the same name by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and is regarded by many film buffs as one of the best Sherlock Holmes movies. The story begins when a friend of the Baskerville family visits Sherlock Holmes and asks for his help to solve an old legend in which every generation of the Baskerville family is destroyed by a supernatural hound.
Release the hound.
Holmes sends Watson to the estate to watch over the last Baskerville, Sir Henry. In the meantime, Holmes investigates the moors in disguise to solve the case. The film is suspenseful with a creepy atmosphere and sharp dialogue. Landfield does a good job with shadows, and the moors are eerie, covered in mist, with the hound howling in the background. One thing to note is there is no background music. Rathbone's performance as Holmes set the mode for all future Sherlock Holmes actors. The movie was so successful that Rathbone and Bruce teamed up to do 14 more movies. The combination of action, suspense, romance, and humor made a winning formula. Although it's more of an action-adventure than a detective mystery, it's still a fun and entertaining ride through Victorian England. Our top movie today is Young Mr. Lincoln, brought to us by legendary director John Ford, his second film on this list after Drums Along the Mohawk. Ford also directed the western Stagecoach that same year, making a star out of John Wayne. This biographical drama is about the early life of Abraham Lincoln, played by Henry Fonda in one of his finest performances. If you remember, Fonda also starred in the other Ford film on this list, Drums Along the Mohawk. Young Mr. Lincoln is a fictionalized account of Abraham Lincoln's early law career in Illinois as he tackles his first big court case. Fonda does a superb job of embodying the future president, from his easygoing, folksy manner, his love of law, his homespun frontier clothes and trademark hat, down to his gainly walk and steely determination. Lincoln's future as a great speaker is hinted at in several scenes, especially one where he disperses an unruly mob hell-bent on hanging 2 brothers.
Trouble is, when men start taking the law into their own hands, they're just zapped in all the confusion and fun to start hanging somebody who's not a murderer as somebody who is.
The last act is a courtroom drama based on a real case as Lincoln attempts to defend 2 brothers accused of murder. Fonda is simply fantastic with his aw-shucks demeanor, using his knowledge of the law and common sense to disarm and outmaneuver the jury, judge, and prosecutor. Everyone constantly underestimates him at their peril.
Your Honor, this is a waste of time. Mr. Lincoln should know that the mere fact that a prospective juror knows counsel for the state does not disqualify him.
I know that, John. What I'm afraid of is that some of the jurors might not know you, and that'd put me at a great disadvantage.
Young Mr. Lincoln might seem a bit hokey today, but it's a piece of good old-fashioned Americana that is surprisingly enjoyable. As with Mr. Lincoln, be careful you don't underestimate it. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button. Also, if you subscribed, click the little bell icon for notifications. I'd love to read your comments and have you share the video with your friends. I'd appreciate everyone's help in keeping this channel growing. Until next time, adios amigos.